Hana rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the screen again. The coffee in her cup had gone cold hours ago, but she did not care. Something strange was happening on her shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. She had been listening to the empty space between stars for 3 years now, and most nights brought nothing but silence and static. Tonight was different. A weak signal was coming through the radio waves. It was not like anything she had heard before. The sound was broken and filled with gaps, but it was clearly not natural. Someone or something was trying to send a message across the dark void of space. Hana turned up the volume and leaned closer to her equipment. The signal was very faint, like a whisper in a storm. She worked quickly, using the station's computers to clean up the sound and make it clearer. Her heart started beating faster as she realized what she was hearing. This was not from Earth. This was not from any human ship or station. The patterns in the signal were too strange, too different from anything humans had ever made. After an hour of careful work, she managed to separate the message from the background noise. What she heard made her hands shake. It was a voice, clearly speaking words, but not in any language from Earth. The tone was desperate and scared. Even without understanding the words, Hana could hear the fear and pain in the alien voice. Someone was in trouble, far from home, calling out for help. Hana immediately called her supervisor and then the main command center. Within minutes, the small monitoring station was buzzing with activity. Scientists and military officers arrived to study the signal. The best language experts on Earth began working to understand the alien message. Captain Minho arrived at the station 6 hours later. He was a tall man with kind eyes and steady hands. He had spent most of his life in space, leading missions to the outer planets and asteroid fields. His ship, the New Soul, was one of Earth's most advanced exploration vessels. "What do we know?" Minho asked as he studied the screens showing the signal analysis. Dr. Kim, the lead scientist, pointed to the translation that was slowly appearing on the monitors. "The message is from someone called Veltar. They are part of a research team that is trapped on a station near a star called Kepler 442. Their ship was destroyed, and their life support systems are failing." Minho frowned as he read the coordinates. "That star system is marked as extremely dangerous in our charts. The radiation levels alone would kill most life forms." "That's what makes this so strange," Dr. Kim replied. "According to our data, nothing should be able to survive there for more than a few hours. Yet this research team has been there for several days." The alien message continued to repeat, growing weaker each time. Through the translation, they learned that Veltar's people were called Zephyrians. They had been studying the strange properties of the neutron star when pirates attacked their main ship. Now they were trapped on their small research station with no way to escape. Hana listened as the experts debated what to do. Some argued that it was too dangerous to attempt a rescue. The radiation around Kepler 442 would be deadly, and they had no idea if the aliens were friendly or hostile. Others said that this was humanity's first chance to make contact with another intelligent species, and they could not ignore a call for help. Captain Minho studied the star charts and technical reports. His crew was already preparing the New Soul for a long journey. Chief Engineer Yuna was checking every system twice. Tactical Officer Jiwon was planning the safest route through space. Medical Officer Hyok was preparing for unknown alien biology. Xenobiologist Do-hyun was studying every piece of data about the signal's origin. "How long do they have?" Minho asked. Dr. Kim checked the latest translation. "According to their message, maybe 3 days before their life support completely fails. After that..." He did not need to finish the sentence. Minho made his decision. We're going. Prep the ship for immediate departure. Some of the government officials tried to stop him. They wanted to send messages to the aliens first, to learn more about them before risking a human ship and crew, but Minho pointed to the fading signal strength. By the time we exchange messages and make plans, they'll be dead, he said firmly. We can figure out diplomacy later. Right now, people are dying. The new Soul launched from Earth's orbital shipyard 8 hours after Hana first detected the signal. It was the fastest departure in the history of human space exploration. The ship carried extra medical supplies, emergency life support equipment, and everything they might need for a rescue mission in one of the most dangerous parts of the galaxy. As they traveled through space at maximum speed, the crew studied everything they could learn about their destination. The Kepler 442 system contained a neutron star, also called a pulsar. These were the collapsed cores of dead giant stars, spinning incredibly fast and shooting out deadly radiation in all directions. No known life form should be able to survive. Near a pulsar, Do-hyun reported to the captain. The radiation alone would cook most creatures in minutes. The gravity is so strong it would crush anything that got too close. Yuna looked up from her engineering reports. Our ship can handle it, but just barely. We'll need to use maximum shielding and can't stay long. Ji-won added, if there really are pirates in that system, they'll have the same problems we do. They can't stay long either. As the new Soul raced through the darkness between stars, Hana continued monitoring the alien signal from Earth. Each day, Veltar's voice grew weaker. The Zephyrian scientist was still sending updates about their condition, but the messages were becoming shorter and more desperate. Captain Minho gathered his crew for a final briefing before they reached the danger zone. We don't know what we're flying into, he told them. We don't know if these aliens are friends or enemies. We don't know if we can even communicate with them properly. What we do know is that they asked for help, and we're the only ones close enough to answer. The ship's sensors detected the edge of the Kepler 442 system 12 hours later. What they found there would change everything humans thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. The neutron star was exactly as dangerous as predicted, spinning like a cosmic lighthouse and shooting radiation in every direction. But somehow, impossibly, there was a small station orbiting in the deadly zone. And according to their sensors, there were still life signs aboard. Captain Minho ordered all hands to battle stations. Not for war, but for the most dangerous rescue mission humanity had ever attempted. The new Soul moved carefully through the radiation storm around the neutron star. Captain Minho watched the screens as deadly energy waves washed over their shields. The ship shook with each pulse from the spinning star, and warning lights flashed. Red across the bridge. Radiation levels are at maximum safe limits, Yuna reported from her engineering station. Shields are holding, but we can't stay here long. Through the chaos of spinning light and energy, they could see the alien research station. It was much smaller than any human space station, and it looked fragile. Parts of it were clearly damaged, with metal plates hanging loose and systems sparking in the vacuum of space. I'm getting life signs, Hayek announced from his medical sensors. 4 individuals, all showing signs of severe stress. Their life support is failing fast. Captain Minho opened a communication channel. He spoke slowly and clearly, hoping the translation systems would work. This is Captain Minho of the Earthship New Soul. We received your distress call. We are here to help. For a moment there was only static. Then a weak voice came through the speakers. The alien words were strange and musical, but the translation computer worked to turn them into human language. Earthship? The voice sounded confused and hopeful. You came from the death world, but that is impossible. No one can survive travel through this radiation zone. Jiwan looked puzzled. Death world? What do they mean by that? Before anyone could answer, the alien voice continued. I am Veltar of the Zephyrian Research Expedition. We have been trapped here for 4 days. Our main ship was destroyed by raiders who said we had no right to be in a forbidden zone. They did not believe we were only scientists. Captain Minho guided the new soul closer to the damaged station. Through the viewports, they could see the aliens moving inside their small emergency shelter. The Zephyrians were tall and thin, with pale skin that seemed to glow slightly. They moved slowly and carefully, as if every action was difficult. We need to get them off that station quickly, Hayok said after studying his medical readings. Their biology is failing. Whatever is keeping them alive won't last much longer. Yuna worked at her controls, trying to figure out how to dock with the alien station. The design was completely different from human technology. Their docking systems don't match ours. We'll need to do a direct transfer through the airlocks. Captain Minho made a decision that surprised his crew. I'm going over there personally. Someone needs to help them prepare for evacuation. Sir, the radiation levels are deadly, Jiwan protested. Even with our best protective suits, it's extremely dangerous. If it's deadly for us, imagine what it's doing to them, Minho replied. He was already putting on his radiation suit. They've been exposed to this for days. Do-hyun joined the captain in the airlock, carrying medical supplies and translation equipment. Together they crossed the dangerous gap between ships in a small shuttle pod. The radiation meters inside their suits clicked constantly, measuring the deadly energy around them. When they reached the alien station, Veltar was waiting at the airlock. The Zephyrian scientist was wearing a massive protective suit that covered his entire body. Even through the thick material, they could see that he was very sick. You actually came, Veltar said weakly. When we sent the distress call, we did not expect anyone to answer. This region of space is considered forbidden by all civilized species. Captain Minho helped support the alien scientist, who could barely stand. Why is it forbidden? Because it is a death zone, Veltar explained as they moved through the station. The radiation, the gravity, the energy storms. Nothing can survive here except perhaps the legendary Deathworlders, and they are just myths. They found the other 3 Zephyrians in the main research lab. Crixon was unconscious, his breathing very shallow. Thymora was trying to repair a broken life support unit with shaking hands. Zelix was recording final research notes, expecting to die soon. Do-hyun immediately began treating their radiation sickness with human medical equipment. He was amazed at how fragile the aliens seemed. Their bodies were adapted for a much gentler environment than Earth. What humans considered normal, background radiation was slowly killing them. How did you survive the journey here? Thymora asked weakly. No species in the galaxy can travel through radiation like this without massive protection fleets. Captain Minho looked at his simple radiation suit, then at the huge, complicated protection the aliens needed. We just used standard travel gear. This isn't much worse than some places in our own solar system. The aliens stared at him in shock. Veltar spoke slowly, as if he could not believe what he was hearing. Your solar system has radiation zones like this? Our home planet has radiation, Do-hyun explained while treating Crixon. It comes from our star, from space, from the rocks in the ground. We live with it every day. Zelix made a strange sound that might have been laughter or crying. You really are Deathworlders. The legends were true. Yuna's voice came through their communicators. Captain, we need to hurry. I'm detecting ships approaching the system. They look like the raiders who attacked the research station. Captain, Minho quickly organized the evacuation. The Zephyrians were too weak to move quickly, so the humans had to carry them. Even though the aliens were taller, they weighed much less than humans because their bones and muscles were adapted for lower gravity. As they transferred the aliens to the new Sol, Veltar continued to express amazement at what the humans could do. You move normally in this gravity field. You work efficiently while radiation that would kill us in minutes barely slows you down. You carry our weight as if we were children. We're just doing what anyone would do, Captain Minho said, as he helped Veltar into the medical bay. No, Veltar replied seriously. No one else in the galaxy could do this. We have been spacefaring for thousands of years, and we know the limits of biological life. You have no limits. Hayek began treating all 4 aliens for severe radiation poisoning. His equipment seemed magical to them. Medicine that healed damage they thought was permanent. Treatments that worked in minutes instead of days. How is this possible? Thymora asked as she felt her strength returning. This level of medical science should not exist. We had to develop it, Hayek explained simply. Our planet is dangerous. Our people get sick from radiation, toxic chemicals, extreme weather, and violent accidents. We learned to fix these problems or we would not survive, Jiwan called from the bridge. Captain, the raider ships are getting closer. 3 vessels, heavily armed. They're demanding we surrender the aliens. The lead raider sent a message that the translation computer struggled with. The alien language was harsh and aggressive. Earth vessel, you carry dangerous criminals. Surrender them immediately or face destruction. Captain Minho responded calmly. These are researchers, not criminals. They need medical attention. Impossible, the raider replied. No research team could survive in the death zone. They must be military scouts preparing an invasion. Deathworlders cannot be trusted. Veltar struggled to sit up in the medical bed. Captain, you must understand. Most of the galaxy fears Deathworlders. There are legends about species like yours who can survive anywhere and conquer any world. When these raiders found us in the Forbidden Zone, they assumed we were working with Deathworlders. The raider ships moved closer, weapons charging. Captain Minho realized they were not just rescuing 4 scientists. They had accidentally announced to the galaxy that Earth's legendary Deathworlders were real, and now they had to fight their way home. The raider ships opened fire as the new Sol pulled away from the research station. Energy beams cut through space, some missing the human ship by only a few meters. Captain Minho gripped his command chair as the ship shook from near hits. Return. Fire, he ordered. But only to disable their weapons. We don't want to start a war. Jiwan worked quickly at her tactical station. The human weapons were different from what the raiders expected. Instead of the massive energy cannons most species used, Earth ships carried smaller, faster weapons that could strike with incredible accuracy. The first raider ship lost its main gun in seconds. The second ship tried to ram the new Sol, but could not match the human ship's speed and agility. The third ship retreated quickly when its shields collapsed under the precise human attacks. In the medical bay, Veltar watched the battle through the monitors. His scientific mind was amazed by what he saw. How are you maneuvering like that? The gravity forces should crush your crew. Hyak continued treating the aliens while the ship spun and dived through space. We're used to high gravity. Our planet has much stronger gravity than most worlds. This feels normal to us. Thymora pointed at the humans working around her. Even during the violent battle, they moved with steady hands and clear thinking. You are not even afraid, she said, with wonder. "We're concerned," Do-hyun admitted as he secured medical equipment. "But our people have lived through much worse than this." When the raiders retreated, Captain Minho set course for Earth. But during the long journey home, the Zephyrian scientists began to understand what they had discovered. They were not just being rescued by another species, they were meeting the galaxy's greatest fear. Veltar felt strong enough to talk after 2 days of human medical treatment. He sat with Captain Minho in the ship's common area, sipping a drink that was specially prepared for Zephyrian biology. "Tell me about your world," Veltar requested. "I need to understand how you became what you are." Captain Minho thought about how to explain Earth to someone who had never experienced real danger. "Our planet is beautiful, but it's also trying to kill us every day." "What do you mean?" Veltar asked. "The air we breathe is poisonous to most species," Minho began. "It has oxygen, which burns through biological systems like acid. Our star sends radiation that would give you cancer in hours. The weather can kill you with extreme heat, freezing cold, or violent storms." Veltar listened in growing amazement. "But surely you live in protected cities," Minho laughed. "Some people do, but many choose to live in the dangerous areas. We have cities on floating platforms in the middle of oceans. We have research stations on mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. We have mining operations in places where the ground is naturally radioactive. Why would anyone choose such danger?" Veltar could not understand. "Because that's where the interesting things are," Minho replied simply. "The best fishing is in dangerous waters. The most beautiful views are on the highest mountains. The most valuable minerals are in the most dangerous places." Do-hyun joined the conversation with his research notes about Zephyrian biology. "Your people evolved on a very stable world," he explained. "Low radiation, steady weather, gentle gravity. It's actually unusual in the galaxy. Most planets have some form of extreme conditions. But most species adapt by building better technology to protect themselves," Veltar said. "You adapted by making your bodies stronger." "We did both," Yuna added as she worked on ship repairs nearby. "But we learned that sometimes the best protection is not needing protection." Over the following days, the Zephyrian scientists learned more about human civilization. They studied video files of Earth, watching humans surf on waves that would destroy most ships, climb mountains in storms that would ground aircraft, and work in industrial zones that would be considered toxic waste sites on other worlds. "Your children play in conditions that would require emergency evacuations on our worlds," Crixon observed after studying human school recordings. "They need to learn early," Hyok explained. "If they can't handle normal Earth conditions, they won't survive to adulthood." The aliens began to understand that humans were not just tough by accident. Their entire culture was built around the idea that life was dangerous and you had to be ready for anything. Human art celebrated survival against odds. Human stories were about overcoming impossible challenges. Human science focused on solving problems that would kill you if you got them wrong. Zelix studied human literature and was shocked by what she found. "Your fiction stories are about surviving disasters that would destroy entire civilizations. You read these for entertainment?" "We like happy endings," Jiwon said with a smile. "The bigger the challenge, the better we feel when someone survives it." But as they traveled toward Earth, the Zephyrians also learned about the galaxy's dark history with Deathworlders. Veltar accessed his people's historical records and shared them with the human crew. 3 times in galactic history, Deathworlder species have been discovered, he explained sadly. Each time they were met with fear and hostility. The galaxy's leaders decided that Deathworlders were too dangerous to exist. What happened to them? Captain Minho asked, though he already suspected the answer. They were destroyed, Veltar said quietly. Entire species wiped out before they could spread across the galaxy. The official records say they were planning to conquer other worlds, but now I wonder if that was true. Thymora looked at the human crew with new understanding. If the galaxy learns about you, they will try to destroy your world before you can become a threat. We're not a threat, Do-hyun protested. We came to help you. That is exactly what makes you so dangerous to them, Veltar explained. Deathworlders who are also compassionate and intelligent, you could go anywhere, survive anything, and help. Other species do the same. You could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The humans realized their rescue mission had become something much bigger. They were not just bringing home alien scientists. They were carrying the news that Earth existed, and that humans were everything the galaxy feared most. Hana's voice reached them through the communication system as Earth came into view. Captain, we're receiving urgent messages from the Galactic Council. Someone has already reported your rescue mission. They're demanding that Earth explain why Deathworlders were operating in forbidden space. Captain Minho looked out at his home planet, beautiful and blue and deadly. I guess first contact isn't going to be as peaceful as we hoped. Veltar stood beside him, still weak but determined. I will speak for you to my government and to the council. You saved our lives when no one else could. You showed mercy when you could have shown strength. The galaxy needs to know that not all Deathworlders are the same. As the new soul descended toward Earth, both humans and aliens knew that everything was about to change. The galaxy had spent millions of years fearing the return of the Deathworlders. Now they were here, and they came in peace. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours of the new soul's return to Earth, every major civilization knew that the Deathworlders had returned. Emergency council meetings were called on dozens of worlds. Ancient defense protocols were activated for the first time in millions of years. On the Altarian homeworld, War Minister Borthuk stood before a massive war map showing the location of Earth. The red dots seemed to burn against the peaceful blue background of known space. The pattern is always the same, he told the assembled military leaders. Deathworlders appear, they seem peaceful at first, then they spread across the galaxy like a plague. We cannot allow this to happen again. Diplomat Kexhall tried to argue for caution. These humans saved Zephyrian scientists. That shows they can be reasoned with. Or it shows they are clever, Borthuk replied coldly. The previous Deathworlders also seemed helpful at first. They offered to share their survival technology to help other species colonize dangerous worlds. Then they took control of those worlds and enslaved the people they had helped. Similar conversations were happening on 6 different worlds. The Kronak hunters, famous for tracking dangerous species across the galaxy, were already preparing their fastest ships. The Centaurian war fleet was loading weapons that had not been used for centuries. Even peaceful species like the Melodians were voting to support military action. On Earth, Captain Minho and his crew found themselves at the center of a crisis they never expected. The 4 Zephyrian scientists were still recovering in human hospitals, amazed by the medical technology, but worried about their people's safety. My government is being pressured to declare you a threat, Veltar told Minho during one of their daily meetings. The Galactic Council has threatened to isolate Any species that supports the humans. Hana worked around the clock at the Deep Space Monitoring Station, trying to intercept alien communications and understand what was happening. The messages she translated painted a terrifying picture. They're not just planning to destroy our spaceships, she reported to Earth's leadership. They want to sterilize our entire planet. They're calling it Preventative Action Against Death World Contamination. Earth's President Kim called an emergency meeting with the planet's best military and scientific minds. The room was tense as they discussed options that all seemed impossible. We could try to hide, suggested General Park. Stop all space activities and hope they don't find us. Too late for that, Admiral Lee replied. They already know where we are, and they have technology we don't understand. If they want to find us, they will. Dr. Chen, Earth's leading xenobiologist, had a different suggestion. What if we invite them here? Let them see that we're not the monsters they fear? The room went quiet. The idea seemed insane. Invite hostile aliens to visit the very world they wanted to destroy? It's been tried before, President Kim said slowly. But never by Deathworlders. Maybe that's why it failed. Meanwhile, the galactic military forces were gathering in empty space between the stars. The largest war fleet in galactic history was assembling to destroy a single planet. Ships from dozens of species brought weapons designed to crack worlds and burn away atmospheres. Captain Minho received orders to take the new Sol and try to negotiate with the approaching fleet. It seemed like a hopeless mission, but Earth had to try something. You don't have to do this, Veltar told him as the ship prepared to launch. You could run. Find another star system and start over. We don't run from problems, Minho replied. We solve them. The new Sol intercepted the alien fleet 3 days from Earth. What Minho saw through his viewports made his heart sink. Hundreds of warships stretched across space like a metal storm cloud. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built. Admiral Thexron of the Altarian fleet commanded the invasion force. He was old enough to remember the last time Deathworlders had threatened the galaxy. His voice was cold when he answered Minho's communication request. Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your species will be relocated to a safe containment facility where you can live without threatening others. We don't threaten anyone, Minho replied. We came in peace to help fellow beings in distress. That is what they all said, Admiral Thexron responded. Peace, friendship, cooperation. Then they began taking over our worlds, claiming they could help us survive in places we had never wanted to live. Jiwon studied the alien fleet on her tactical screens. Captain, they have enough firepower to destroy our entire solar system. We can't fight them, but Captain Minho had an idea that was either brilliant or completely insane. We're not going to fight them. We're going to invite them home for dinner. The aliens were confused when the new Sol sent not a surrender, but an invitation. Earth's government officially requested that representatives from each species visit the planet to see what Deathworlders were really like. This is obviously a trap, War Minister Borth-Ook declared. They want to lure our leaders to their world so they can capture or kill them. But Veltar, speaking from his hospital bed on Earth, broadcast a message to the entire fleet. I have been living among the humans for weeks. They could have dissected me, enslaved me, or used me as a hostage. Instead, they healed me and treated me as a friend. If you want to understand Deathworlders, you must see them as I have seen them. Admiral, Thexron was torn between duty and curiosity. His orders were clear: destroy the Death World before it could become a threat. But the scientific part of his mind wanted to understand what made Deathworlders so dangerous. After hours of debate with his fellow commanders, he made a decision that shocked the fleet. "I will take a small diplomatic mission to the surface. If the humans attempt any hostility, the fleet will carry out its orders." 3 days later, 12 alien representatives descended toward Earth in heavily armored shuttles. They expected to find a fortress world bristling with weapons and protected by massive shields. Instead, they found blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents that looked almost peaceful from space. As their shuttles entered the atmosphere, they detected radiation levels that would require protective suits on most worlds, yet they could see cities filled with millions of beings who lived and worked in the open air. The aliens landed at a facility built just for this meeting. As they stepped out of their shuttles wearing full environmental protection, they were greeted by humans in simple clothes who seemed comfortable in conditions that should have been lethal. Admiral Thexeron looked around in amazement. The gravity was crushing. The air was poison, and radiation from the local star beat down like a constant rain of death. Yet human children were playing in a nearby park, laughing and running games in what should have been a disaster zone. "How do you survive this?" he asked through his suit's translator. Captain Minho smiled and took a deep breath of the deadly air. "We call it a beautiful day." The real test was about to begin. Admiral Thexeron and his delegation spent 3 days on Earth, and each day changed their understanding of what Deathworlders really were. The humans had prepared a careful tour that would show the aliens the truth about their world without causing panic. The first stop was a human hospital where Veltar and his team were finishing their recovery. The Zephyrian scientists had gained weight and strength under human medical care. They looked healthier than they had in years. "The radiation, poisoning that was killing us, is completely gone," Thymora explained to the alien delegation. "Human medicine fixed damage that our own doctor said was permanent." Dr. Hayek showed the aliens through the medical facility. They were amazed to see humans working without protective gear in rooms full of equipment that would be considered hazardous on most worlds. "This device uses focused radiation to treat cancer," Hayek explained, pointing to a machine that made the aliens' detection equipment scream warnings. "We learned to turn something deadly into something that saves lives." The aliens watched human doctors and nurses move calmly through their duties. These were not warriors or conquerors. They were healers who had learned to work with forces that would terrify most species. The second day brought a visit to a human school. The alien delegation watched in amazement as children played outside in the natural radiation of their star. The youngsters were learning mathematics, art, and science in conditions that would require emergency evacuation on other worlds. They start learning survival skills very early, teacher Ms. Zhang explained, as her students demonstrated basic first aid techniques. By age 10, they know how to treat radiation exposure, altitude sickness, and toxic chemical contact. One alien, representative, a peaceful melodian named Hamara, was particularly moved by what she saw. "On our world, we protect children from all possible harm. These young ones face dangers every day, yet they seem happy and confident." "Danger teaches them to be strong," Ms. Zhang replied. "But more importantly, it teaches them to help each other. When everyone faces the same risks, cooperation becomes natural." The third day's visit was the most impressive. Do-hyun took the delegation to a nature preserve where they could observe Earth's wildlife. The aliens watched in fascination as creatures that would be considered monsters on other worlds lived together in complex ecosystems. "This is a forest during storm season," Do-Yun explained as rain fell around them. The humans walked comfortably, through weather that forced the aliens to take shelter. Lightning struck nearby trees, and the humans simply moved to safer ground. "Your entire planet is like this," asked Cronach Hunter Zarthek. "Constant danger, constant adaptation." "This is actually a calm day," Do-Hyun replied with a smile. "You should see it during hurricane season." But the real change in the aliens' thinking came when they witnessed human response to an emergency. On their final day, a nearby city experienced a severe earthquake. The alien delegation watched as humans immediately organized rescue efforts in conditions that would have paralyzed most civilizations. Emergency teams worked in collapsed buildings where radiation leaks and toxic gas made the air deadly. Medical crews treated injured people while standing in water contaminated with industrial chemicals. Children helped evacuate elderly neighbors from damaged homes. "They're not waiting for protective equipment," Admiral Thexron observed in amazement. "They're just going in to help." Captain Minho worked alongside civilian volunteers, pulling survivors from rubble that could collapse at any moment. "We can't wait for perfect conditions," he explained to the aliens. "People need help now." The aliens realized they were seeing something unprecedented in galactic history. Deathworlders who used their incredible survival abilities not to conquer others, but to save them. That evening, Admiral Thexron contacted his fleet with new orders. "Cancel the attack. Repeat, cancel the attack. These humans are not a threat." "Sir, our orders are clear," his second-in-command replied. "All Deathworlders must be contained or destroyed." "Our orders were based on incomplete information," the Admiral replied firmly. "These beings could be the greatest allies the galaxy has ever known." Veltar stood before the alien delegation during their final meeting. The Zephyrian scientist had become an unofficial ambassador between his people and humanity. "I have studied your histories of previous Deathworlder species," he told the assembled representatives. "In each case, they were met with immediate hostility and fear. Is it any wonder they became hostile in return?" Humara, the Melodian delegate, spoke softly. "We have made terrible mistakes. We destroyed species that might have helped us survive in a dangerous universe." "It's not too late to change," President Kim said as she addressed the delegation. "We offer friendship to any species that wants it. We offer help to anyone who needs it. And we offer to teach survival skills to those who want to learn." Admiral Thexron made a decision that would change galactic history. "I am recommending to the Council that humans be granted full membership in the galactic community. Furthermore, I suggest we establish a new organization, the Galactic Emergency Response Corps, with humans as the primary rescue specialists." The vote in the Galactic Council was not unanimous. Some species still feared what Deathworlders might become. But the majority were convinced by the testimony of those who had visited Earth. 6 months later, the first joint human-alien rescue mission launched from Earth orbit. Captain Minho commanded a mixed crew as they responded to a solar flare emergency that had trapped miners in an asteroid belt. No other species could have survived the radiation levels, but the human crew worked efficiently in conditions they considered routine. Hana, now promoted to Director of Interspecies Communications, sent humanity's first official message to the galaxy from her upgraded monitoring station. Her words were broadcast to thousands of worlds across the void. "To all species of the galaxy, this is Earth. When others fall, we will catch them. When others cannot go, we will go first. When others fear the darkness, we will light the way. We are humanity, and we are here to help." The response was immediate and overwhelming. distress calls began arriving from across the galaxy. Mining. Accidents in radiation zones. Research teams trapped on hostile worlds. Colony ships stranded in dangerous space. For the first time in galactic history, there were beings who could go anywhere and save anyone. The age of the helpful Deathworlders had begun. Veltar, now serving as Earth's first alien ambassador, watched the rescue ships launch from his office in the orbital station. He remembered the desperate message he had sent from a dying research station, never imagining anyone would answer. A single SOS had reached the Deathworlders, and what followed had shocked the galaxy in the best possible way. The universe was still dangerous, full of radiation storms and gravity wells, and hostile environments that could kill most life forms in minutes. But now, for the first time, there were people who could go into that danger and bring others safely home. The galaxy had found its guardians, and they came from a blue world that most species would consider hell. Earth, the death world that chose to give life.